Hey everybody, it's Bust with Busted Strategies number 18. Getting another best of one draft. Let's see what shows up here. Oh yeah, good stuff, good stuff. Hope we're getting in here before your day of football begins. You got your lineup already for your fantasy teams. Your team of choice does well. It's brutal. And our Chiefs are hurting. that's, that's everyone's favorite team, I'm sure. Ooh, bad times this year. Things will be all right. It's one of these things. It's just a feels like a low roll of a game of Magic, and so it's not that big of a problem. But alrighty, so let's jump on in here. Fairly weak set. Like this is kind of one of these odd packs, in that I don't feel like we really want to start with an Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Right, we're going to like look for bombs. Pithing Needle certainly isn't one. Then we're going to kind of look towards removal spells and gold cards. Like the Midnight Ambush is the only removal. Locked in the Cemetery could also be a potential take, but I think that's pretty low quality for a first pick. So I'm really just looking at either the Bloodstitch Scab or the Grizzly Ghoul. Like blue-black tends to be, pretty overdrafted at this point, but I think the Scab is just like the highest quality card here, as close to a kind of bomb quality card we're going to get. It just does so much in the zombies decks. It's not even so much that the ability's that powerful, as much as it just kind of comes down on the second turn and can clog up a board for a bit, and then potentially turn some of your dudes to be a little bit scarier. So I think that's the way to go here. If we don't end up in a space to where we can play blue-black, then I think it's still not like we're missing out on too much there. And okay, interesting set. And so there's both the two things I'm looking at here would be the Curse of Surveillance and then the Falcon Abomination. And I'm leaning towards just taking the Curse. Just the way that these decks kind of play out. If we ever find a point in time where we can just like stall and not lose the game, then Curse of Surveillance tends to just come out here and win the game. But I'm like questioning whether or not it's even better than Falcon Abomination. Kind of one of the problems I run into with these blue-black decks is I don't devote enough time and resources to our early game, and Falcon Abomination's quite a good way to take advantage of it, especially when we have like the Bloodstitch Scab, and then if we do switch into playing something like blue-white, then the Falcon Abomination is going to play out much better than the Curse. So I think this is okay. Passing on the Curse. If this was like pick 6 or pick 7, I think I'd be a little bit happier about trying to pick up a Curse there. And okay, this is a very easy defense straight. It's kind of tough to tell what the opponents to our right would be doing. They took a rare and an uncommon, so there's not a whole lot to read into here. I don't want to just assume that the black cards are open at this point. But this is a pretty powerful start that we've got here, even if we're getting cut off a little bit from the right. Okay, and then which ones can't stay away? Return a creature for 3 or less to your graveyard, and then the flashback, quite good. I think this is probably the route that we want to go. If we end up, as far as blue-black's concerned, I'm not going to play Necrosynthesis, the cover-up, or the Amalgam. Arrogant Outlaw is pretty bad, and so I think it's safe to just take the can't stay away, and then if we abandon these first 2 blue picks, then so be it. It can be reasonably tough to get blue-black together, and so if it is getting cut off from both of the players to our right, can't stay away is something that makes me feel good about switching into a different set of colors. But here, the Siege Zombie's on point. We are seeing some good white roll through, and so if we do end up switching from blue-black to white-black, it's not that big of a deal. We don't exactly have the makings of the good white-black cards yet. Siege Zombie isn't really a premier white-black style unit. But this is still okay. I like the options that we're presented with here. Okay, and so it looks like the blue may not be happening. It's okay to let those go. As far as these packs go, I'm looking at the Lunarch Veteran here. This gives us kind of an early game sacrificable as far as the sacrifice theme is concerned. I do tend to like No Way Out in white-black as well. Just generating the zombie gives you just a big pile of card advantage, but I think the Luminarch Veterans are something that I would prefer to have more copies of. Okay, and so it does appear to see blue-black probably isn't open. I don't like playing Shipwreck Sifters unless we're playing white-blue, the Disturb card, so we can kind of ignore that. The Unblinking Observer can be okay, but this is really kind of like a 22nd or a 23rd card. At this point, I'm looking to just take the Sun Gold Barrage. It's not something we usually really need to like stack up on or pick a bunch of, but it is nice to have one copy of. And fairly weak set here. I like Homestead Courage and green white and then blue white. I don't like it in white black. It could fit in, be filler, but I'm just going to go with the Morning Patrol here. This is a little bit better of a board filler, and I mean we are starting to pick up these Disturb units, and so maybe we don't end up in white black and we end up in white blue. I'm still pretty open to however this plays out, but I think at kind of the end of the day now, we're probably looking to be more base white. White is what seemed to be open in that pack, and so I'm just going to go in with the Flare of Faith here. So if we end up in base white, I just think we're more likely to end up in base white than we are in base blue. So we'll pick up the combat trick. Bunch of garbage here. I think I would rather, even if we do end up in white-black, I'm never playing Bat Whisperer, so I'm going to just go ahead and pick up the Larder Zombie. Okay, add the rest of the sideboard. I'm not, like, opposed to playing Jack-o'-lanterns. It's not horrible. It does come out and cycle and then even fix our mana a bit if we want to look to play Esper. Maybe we do end up just taking the Jack-o'-lantern here. I'm never really excited to be playing that Bloodstitch Scab. Okay, so pretty open as far as these cards are concerned. I was going to say, hopefully we'll open something big and bruisery and really give our deck the direction it needs, but Primal Adversary is not it. So a little unfortunate as far as these opens go. I think we're really just stuck taking a Morning Patrol here. I would like to take the Mythic, but I think at this stage we really can't be value drafting because I don't want to be short on playables. So I'm going to pick up the Morning Patrol. Again, if we're in white-black, it's not the best thing to be sacrificing, but we can. And then if we're in blue-white, it does work well with the Disturb theme. Okay. Okay, well, interesting. The far and away the most powerful thing here is the Morbid Opportunist. That I think that does. I don't want to say it like locks us into white black, but it gets us right on point with it. And so, at least as far as these cards are concerned, we don't really have a lot of the white black payoff, though, right? We don't have any of the gold card that sacrifices units. We don't have any of the sacrifice cards in general. Like our cards line up more to being in a blue-white deck. We have a lot of Disturb stuff in white with the 2 Morning Patrols and the Lunarch Veteran, but I think the Opportunist is probably just too strong to be passing up. It just gives us tons of options for card draw. Okay. Well, the white is improving here. I think we can reasonably suspect we're in white-black. I want to see what our curve looks like. Everything is looking pretty cheap here. That's quite nice. I think we need to go with the Odric's Opportunist to just start to shore up our mid and our late game. There's a lot of decks that just can't beat the Outrider. And then the Candlegrove Rich is something I would like, but we do need to have some amount of things that cost more than 3 mana. Oh boy, look at this. Look at all these cards. Tons and tons of good stuff here. Like, we would be super stoked to actually pick up, like, essentially every single white and black card here between the Collector, the Flesh Taker, the Foul Play. Can we ever wheel anything out of this? There's going to be 3 cards left in it when it comes back. I mean, it's probably going to be, like, these, maybe a Startle. We're not playing the blue-black, though. This one's really tough. I do like the Foul Play, just as a really top-notch removal spell that gives us some card advantage. I'm kind of leaning towards taking the Flesh Taker, though, and seeing if we can't just, like, wheel one of these black cards. I think that's reasonably fine. Odric's Outrider is a much easier pick for us here, so we can pick him up. Yeah, and I think we're firmly in white-black. So let's get these blue cards out of here for now. I don't think we're ever going to be playing them. Can move Jack-o'-lantern out for now. We can bring it back if it seems like things are open. And look at this. Just as soon as we say blue is done, people passing around Organ Hoarders. It's insane. This thing has no business being a 6th pick. But the Flare Faith is the only on-color playable. Here I do like a Gavany Trapper in every white deck, so happy enough to pick these up. And what else do we got here? I haven't been a big fan of Blood Pact. It's a divination. It seems like it should be reasonable, but it's been tough for me to find a space where I actually want this card. Okay, then we'll just take the only black card in the Arrogant Outlaw. I don't think we'll end up playing it. We were pretty well filled up as far as the curve is concerned. Here, not playing any of these red or green cards, so we'll just take the rare. Ooh, Candlegrove Witch tabled. Nice. Oh, that's very nice. And the Occultist, beautiful. I was wondering if we were going to get something out of this pack, and I'm quite happy that that something tabled in the Occultist. Can't quite expect the the things like the removal spells to table, but that was pretty good. So how do these things look? We're lacking a bit of top end. We're kind of lacking in the flyers, but otherwise, I think this is a pretty reasonable start. Okay, so where do things stand as far as removal goes? We're probably just almost always taking the defense straight. There's not a whole lot else here. There's like a search party captain and a silver bolt, and if we're going to take a removal spell between the silver bolt and the defense straight, I want the defense straight, but I want to kind of take a peek at how things look here real quick. As far as removal goes, we got the 2 Flare Face. We'll probably at least play 1, and then we have the 1 defense straight. I thought we picked up something else. Oh, and a Sun Gold Barrage. Okay. We wheel anything out of this? Maybe the search party captain will come back. Okay, then not too exciting in terms of white-black. Given that we just like tabled a Novice Occultist, I'm hoping that this makes its way back. With these, I'm just going to come in and take the Candlegrove Witch. Just a really strong early game play for us. Yeah, hopefully, given the way the white cards have kind of making their way around, we're looking to table the Phantom or the Occultist. Okay, things are looking good. So happy enough to pick up a Soul Grift Guide. We're really lacking at top end at this point. This isn't like premier by any means, but it's gonna serve our needs here. I don't hate the Soul Grift Guide. All right, man, we could have had the Curse of Surveillance deck today. It's not going to be a thing. Siege Zombie's the only playable amongst these cards. Very easy take. All right. I'm not opposed to a Digraph Horde, good old Slowgurk, hanging out up here in the rares, but this one, we do have a handful of sacrifice effects. We do have a handful of things like Siege Zombie, and we are lacking in the 5-drop space. So I think this is who we'll end up taking here. Okay. So with these, it's really just a Trapper or a Veteran, and I think I just want to pick up the second Trapper. If we had a bunch of like sacrifice cards, like the sacrifice a unit and to remove something, or the Morcuck Behemoth, like I would be more into the Phantom, but I think we just want the sort of removal spell in the Trapper. Right, all right. So an Unruly Mob would typically be good in this deck, but again, we don't have that much to sacrifice. We just have the single Flesh Taker. I believe that's it. We're just kind of counting on combats to help these units grow. Let's see how these things turn out. Flare of Faith number 3 is the only on-color card. We're not going to play it, but let's go ahead and pick it up. All right, I don't think there's too much more interesting that's going to be rolling our way. There was the one pack that had like the Opportunist in it. I think that was the pack that we just passed on the Lunarch Veteran, but maybe not. I don't exactly remember how that played out. What's our unit count? Up to 18? Got it. It's not units anymore. We're playing creatures now. Okay. Yeah, so as the draft winds down, this isn't like a super powerful deck. It's kind of lacking a bunch of big bombs. It might have some trouble actually winning games in the sense that our top end isn't that great. We only have the 3 flyers in the Soul Grift Guide and then the Candlegrove Witches. But if we can stall out long enough to get these Odric Outriders on board, they tend to just solve a lot of problems as far as protecting our boards go, just distributing these counters. I think this is okay. Let's see here. The Arrogant Outlaw can come out. He's not very good. And we really just need to take out one more. That's not that bad. How many early plays do we have here? We've got 3 1s, and then 1, 2, three, four, five, six, 7 twos. So we could pull out an Unruly Mob if we want. I just kind of see it as one of our few ways to really build up an early game, though. If you can play it on like turn 2 and just have it hang out. But I don't think we're going to get too much value out of it. I think that's a very easy removal. Yeah, I think this is where we're at. 2 trappers. We still got a Blood Pact in here. It's like I'm pretty tempted to just add in a third Flare of Faith over playing the Blood Pact. Interesting. Let me scroll our way down here to see if we're missing anything. I don't think so. There's a Blessed Defiance, which I don't feel like we need. Just like we I think I like this. Let's take the Blood Pact out, put the third Flare of Faith in. It feels like a lot of Flare Faiths, but I just kind of feel like we're going to have to be getting into combat kind of early with the likes of Candlegrove Witch and Siege Zombie, even Flesh Taker to a degree. And so I'd like a way to just kind of protect our early plays. Is Flesh Taker a human? Yeah. So then hopefully we can just kind of like pick and choose when our units die and play it out that way. So, all right. So didn't go supremely. I could definitely see ourselves at least getting our gems back on this one, but I think we handled that well. Always sucks to have to abandon the first 2 picks of your draft, but I'm pretty sure that white was the place to be. All right, well, reasonable enough start. We can play a 1 and a 3 here in the early game. See how these big pile of Flare of Faiths are going to hold up for us. How sick would this be if we could just bank 2 spell mana here, and then roll into turn 3, being able to tap out and still play our Flare of Faiths? It's wild. So spell mana is such an interesting concept of these games. I miss that one to a degree. I miss it when our resources don't play out, and and missing things like spell mana. Both of those were quite big contributions from the Runeterra team. Sure. But yeah, this is kind of my kind of worry with the deck like this is our cards don't really do anything. You know, we don't have any like flyers. We don't have any big plays to draw ourselves to. Kind of need a bit of magic to happen here. And then in these spaces, whenever opponent doesn't play anything on the 3rd turn, I usually assume it's just a flip the switch, the counter spell. We don't have anything to really throw in front of it here, but that's usually what you see. That might not be the case with this guy that's played a Consider into a Secrets of the Key, but Nebelgast Intruder, sure. All right, ready to blow him up with the Flare Faiths. The big damage coming in. Let's actually let him attack with that if he wants, and then if he tries to play a bigger unit behind, we'll tap it. And if he just gets us with the no play, it's not really the end of the world. But here, the Opportunist is a unit that I would be a little bit worried about. I don't really want to run the Opportunist into a counterspell, which is what it seems like they're trying to pull off here. Secrets of the Key flashback's fine, but it's going to be tough for us to bait it. But they should have to, play a unit at some point. We'll see if they just start trying to put down a 2-drop here and pass with 3 mana, or if they're playing a Devious Cover-Up type card. Nope. Wrong button. Okay. Get in there, squad. Alright, so I mean, he's going to be getting kind of the better of us in this draw-go game. He can just draw 2 cards now, but I still think this game plan is right. It just reeks of them having a counterspell. I don't really want to lose the Morbid Opportunist in this space. And we should be able to still continue to control their board. Like, they're going to have to add something, and we could just immediately shut it down with the Trapper. And we're getting, like, really close to lethal. This is gonna ultimately be their game plan, if we're able to just get the surprise 6 damage in with Flare of Faith. It's pretty weird. They haven't been dropping like the you're human, right? Yeah, they haven't been dropping. I was expecting like the big fairy to come down here. Can we just kill them here? We're a mana short of just killing them. If we're gonna give the +6 off of the Flare of Faiths. Alright, well, pretty powerful space to be in. The Drago game here hasn't really panned out for opponent. So they didn't tap out, but we're really close to just winning the game here. So with the +6 damage coming out of our hand. See if they play a spell. Nope. Next copy. Okay. Is it gonna be like the bounce spell or something? Okay, we win. Whatever the unblocked one is, you're coming in for the damage. Aggro. Get him. Not bad, not bad. We'll make our way into platinum as well. Go us. Yeah, it was a pretty odd game. They were trying to Drago pretty hard and just couldn't do anything to stop us. I like that idea there though with the Trapper. Like, he was never winning that race with his Nebelgeist. He kind of had to attack with it, or we'd just be tapping it. But I kind of still like that space, even though we never got any taps with it. But it's like if opponent wants to attack with the Nebelgeist and then we get to tap their 4-cost unit or something, it really opens us up to keep continuing on our rather slow aggression, but aggression nonetheless. Right, that's a reasonable start. I'm not real amped about things like Novice Occultist here since we don't have a lot of ways to sacrifice it, but that's what it is. Okay, troops on the loose. We'll play the Witch. It should be reasonably safe here. There's even a world where we draw a Gavany Trapper and we can attack with it. I do worry about this Contortionist troop. It's pretty easy for them to just add a 3-attack unit next turn and start distributing these counters. Tempted to just pass. I think that's okay. It should be super obvious that we're about to drop a removal spell on him, but I don't want this ability just sitting around and leveling up his team. Okay. Ew, we do not play well into Rise of the Ants. We want a morning patrol? I don't think so. This feels pretty low value here. I think we need to draw into our better cards. So we can play the Trapper and get the Coven. I don't feel like really good about an attack here though, but I could see wanting to. Actually, this can be good if we go for the defense straight. I think this is okay. We can always get this Flesh Taker back if we need to, but if he doesn't block with his full squad, then we get a really good defense straight here because we don't lose our Flesh Taker. Good stuff, good stuff. It was aggressive. Kathar's Call. It's all very, very annoying. And I think we just have to be on this Candlegrove Witch plan. He doesn't have too much more going on in his hand. And then the attacks here aren't that great in the sense that if he gets to flip this Death Bonnet Sprout before we get to start using our things like Can't Stay Away, it's a little bit awkward. But I think we're looking pretty good starting next turn. We can Can't Stay Away, back our one attack unit, get our Coven, hit with the Candlegrove Witch, like sacrifice things to the Flesh Taker. Like we got a lot going on with this board starting next turn. We Can't Stay Away the Occultist. Want to start attacking. I don't think... do we ever attack with the Flesh Taker? He gets like reasonably good blocks across like the Harvesttide Sentry and all these little humans. I don't think so. Also protects our Can't Stay Away for a bit. So we're not going to tap anything with the Trapper this turn. But I still want to get the value out of this Can't Stay Away and the Death Bonnet Hulk and get this whole cycle going. But after this turn, I don't worry about the Hulk as much. Okay, didn't do anything. Ooh, Outrider number 2. Nice. Why didn't we get to put our... We had another creature die. Did we just skip over this? What did I miss on that? Why didn't we get our +1/+1? That maybe I just clicked on the cards wrong? I don't know what happened there. Okay. Why can't we play this? Does he exile stuff? Sacrifice another creature. What happened? Does he have something... What did I miss? We used the Flesh Taker. Yeah, you're exiled. I don't get what happened. still can't see it. I still can't see what we missed. It dies, you draw. Oh, this thing gives it that ability. If the creature would die, exile it instead. Okay, okay. I got you. It all makes sense now. All right, so one more dude, and we can just start sacrificing stuff. It shouldn't be too tough for us to come up with low quality dudes from this point forward. Do some tapping. Well, that's not a low quality dude. I feel like we need to get something happening here though. So I think I'm gonna Flesh Taker off this Siege Zombie. It does let our opponent just eat it with the Death Bonnet Hulk, which is kind of problematic. Maybe we're just stuck passing. Ugh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so much flips and flops with him. We're not going to be able to out late game this. We got to come up with a way to win this. We have to get aggressive with this Candlegrove Witch, right? If he's going to be like drawing cards with the Dawn Guard and flipping back and forth with the Celestus, we're going to have to come up with something like now. Sure. Target a creature you control. Candlegrove Witch. Candlegrove Witch. Go on top. Okay, so do we have a Coven 024? We certainly do. Candlegrove Witch can come in. Yeah, this is ultimately my concern with this deck. We don't have the really good ways of ever ending a game. We just have the 2 Candlegrove Witches and then the Soulgriff Guide. Opponent should have a pretty tough time ever just like attacking here, but he's got a lot better engines than we do. Of course, Bird Admirer. Of course. Let's see, maybe we'll get bored and just start attacking with stuff. maybe we can get a good turn that way. Okay. His blocks still aren't that good. The dudes that he has. I think we're in a safe enough space to just attack now, and then we'll try and make one of these Flesh Taker plays next turn. We're gonna have to get both of our units up to dealing with what do you call it? Bird Admirer size. Sure. Okay. He's just gonna start attacking at some point, right? I don't know when the mathematics will play out on that one, but he's gonna bring the squad at some point. Sure. Okay. Sure. Let's get 15 cards. So you gotta check and make sure if they're gonna deck themselves. Surprised he's not holding on to cards to loot with. Alright, that's an opportunist. We need a 5/5 Candle Grove. And we can put the other one on the Soul Griff. Definitely don't want a Plains. Our turn. Flare Faith. That's our way to actually come in and win the game, right? We're gonna have to do it like the last one and just try to win with a Flare Faith. Get him with all them surprise damages. That's for 9. All right, we're getting ourselves built up to having one of these turns to where we can tap his Soul Grift Guide on his turn, tap something else on our turn, and then get both of our flyers in with the Flare of Faith. We got some potential here, especially in the kind of sense that if we like go all in on our next attack, we can sacrifice a whole bunch of stuff to like Flesh Taker to distribute a bunch of +1/+1 counters. So basically, like, as long as we don't lose on this turn, we should be pretty safe. I mean, this feels like the kind of turn where he's just going to attack with everything, but we'll see. He has to be real careful with that, because if he can't lethal us, we have tons of damage coming on the crackback. Okay. We can still safely tap this flyer. Like, he has bigger units for this kind of scary turn, but we can just throw blockers in front of, like, Death Bonnet Hulk. His whole squad has to be coming in this turn. How much is this? Like 7 tokens. Can't imagine he's not just attacking with everything. We'll just block whatever the biggest stuff is. that's the easiest way to determine if we're okay here. You may need to go ahead and Flesh Taker off this Gavany Trapper, though. How's this going to work? We're putting Outriders in front of the Hulk. If we block his big ones, let's just figure this out real quick. We got 3, 6, 3, 3. We have to block those. Then we looking to take 7. I think this is okay. Forgot we get to gain a touch of life off of this thing as well. Not sure if it's going to be relevant or not, but it's there. Alright, so we're taking 7, 10, 12, and then he can only plus 1 damage. Should have attacked with everything. Let's hit the Soul Griff. I think we might still be short on damage. Depends on where he blocks. I think we should have probably put both counters on the Soul Griff to try to get him, because he still has this Bird Admirer block. Oh, and he's going to gain a health off the Lunarch because he has the Ant over here. I think we still have draws that can win this for us. Like, if we draw a cheap unit and Candle Trap, oh Jesus. It's the actual have-it-alls when we have the chance to come back out of this one. What a frustrating place to be. Out here doing dumb shit, throwing the game away and just having the perfection. Alright, well, let's give him a chance to mess this up. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? He just didn't block? There's 10. We can sacrifice the Outrider, right? Whenever the Outrider does. Okay. Never should have won that game, but never should have won. All right, if they're gonna give it to us, though, we'll take it. Starting to get all salty, and then they just give it to us anyways. All right, well, that was a strategy. That was a strategy. Never winning that game as we push up through the ranks. Just the attack with everything, or the attack with everything except Bird Admirer, is just going to be so common there. We're lucky to get that one here, but I don't suspect we'll be getting away with that too frequently. Okay, all right. With this one, this is tough because we actually drew like a bunch of our good cards, right? I'm not really excited about Can't Stay Away at this point, but having both the Odric's Outrider and the Morbid Opportunist in our opener, I think it might be good enough to keep. We'll give it a try. If we like got to swap out like the Flare of Faith or the Can't Stay Away for just a Plains, I would snap keep this. But given that like the quality of a lot of our deck is so low, I feel kind of compelled to keep these when we actually draw our good cards. It's kind of like when we're playing an expedition and we're in round 0 when you just have your 2 champions and like you draw one in your opening hand. Like even if it costs 4 or 5 mana, it's just like they're so powerful and your chances of drawing them are so low that you would end up keeping them. Like that would essentially, like whenever we were saying like drafting Lux, you know, Lux was such a big build around Champion or Heimerdinger that your deck typically just fell apart if you didn't have one. I don't want to say that these cards are like that powerful. Like the power level of like Lux or Heimerdinger compared to Morbid Opportunist is much higher, but I think this is okay. We're just gonna get punished with the no lands here, but there's a world where he doesn't make this block, so I'm gonna come in. Okay. The Plains away from looking really strong. It's frightening putting these opportunists out first. These black decks tend to have just tons of removal, so it doesn't feel super safe. But all right, well, we've got the full combo of everybody out here. We can take a singular double strike hit from Duelcraft Trainer. Like if he plays a 2 here, we can take that hit, not be in too much trouble. Then I'll feel a little bit better once we can start like Flare of Faith blocking these things. And then I guess thing number 2 is like we can technically just block it with Siege Zombie and draw some cards and then try to Can't Stay Away the Siege Zombie back next turn. I do kind of like this. Opponent gets to draw the cards off of the Opportunist as well, though. We missed a point of damage, but whatever. Alright, he's going to switch into double striking the Hobbling Zombie now. I think I'm okay enough to flare Faith into that. Just ultimately becomes a super annoying unit. Yeah. I was curious if we should have blocked first. We should have blocked first. Oh my gosh, we missed another siege zombie. This isn't how you win these games. We were gifted that last one, and now we're kind of throwing it all away. This is still a reasonable enough block. Oh no! He's gonna first strike the Death Touch. Wow. Somebody has good cards. Tax. Okay. It's so brutal. Even if like we defense trade as Cathar, he still gets to draw a card off of it, and we don't. Okay. The dude's just playing the same deck, but his deck is just way better than ours. So how do we do this? Do we defend straight down the Dualcraft Trainer? Oh, it just has literally everything. Jesus. I just don't see this one happening. It's just 100% running into the mirror match, except their cards are better than ours, like far and away better than ours. I would if we drafted that deck, I would look at it and say, yeah, this is the deck we can take to 7. Our deck is just like hoping we get to the 5-win mark. Oh man, that was brutal. Still, at least on that one questionable turn, remembering that double striking Death Touch zombie could just come out and kill our units, I feel a little bit better about that one. Here, I'm going to mulligan this. This is slightly different than the other one in that Digraph Horde is way more expensive, and it's not as powerful as Morbid Opportunist. So I think that's a good mulligan. We can't go to 5. Like 5 is impossible to win in these games. We just have to have something go right. Okay. That's not things going right. Okay. I was like, man, is our first play of the day going to be an Odric's Outrider? that is not the way things need to be. Okay, we'll just take a point of damage. I'm not risking our siege zombie for a combat trick. Not worth the trade at this stage. I'm tempted. It's like I ultimately just worry about him having like a removal spell for this Odric's Outrider, and I don't see how we win the game without it. Like if we're playing against green-white and then they're just not playing dudes here, I think this is okay. Let's just pass, and then we'll ultimately try to take advantage of this Flare Faith. It seems like what opponent is trying to do here is Flare Faith something down, but if he's being green-white and being really shitty at being aggressive, I think we're okay to just keep playing this same game. Take the point of damage, sure. It's like I want to protect this Odric's Outrider from a Sun Gold Barrage, so I'd prefer to have like the Flare Faith before we drop it. It might be too slow. That would be ideal. I think we might just have to play it this turn. Yeah. if we get blasted by the Sun Gold Barrage here, it's pretty painful. But this is at least one of these spots. Oh, he can Candle Trap it away now as well. He's just got all the stuff for this. But if we get to untap with Flare Faith, I'll feel much better. Let's try to not forget our Siege Zombies. We gotta clean that up in this game. Shadow Beast sighting, but he makes sure to keep the white behind. The only thing that would represent is the +2 attack and lifelink card. Alright. Not ideal, not ideal. It's like ultimately, I would like to double block this Clarion Cathar, but if he has the +3/+3 indestructible, then we just never win the game. We just go all in at this point on the Flare Faith. And I think it's fine. We don't have anything else going on. Like the world's biggest Odric's Outrider. Still just getting murdered in card advantage by this. Like, so far behind after having to make plays like this. Got to draw the card off the Outrider, and this is only half a card in that thing. Half a card in the Shadow Beast sighting. Why didn't you play that before combat? Maybe you just drew it. Oh my gosh, I can't see the highlights. There we go. There we go. Defense straight, sure. Oh, it was such a big investment, though. This is just another one. I don't see how we ever win this one. Like, what combination of cards we draw that turn out to be positive. He's got the Flare Faith. We can defend straight this one down. There's the Blessed Defiance. It seemed pretty obvious he had it when he special tapped his mana to make sure he had a Plains open. But his board continues to do stuff, and we're just hanging out with Siege Zombies. A little unfortunate here. We're just never recovering off of this. There's nothing we can draw at this point. All right, let's see if you hit our goals, though. I don't have lofty expectations with this deck. Maybe now that we're down in the 2-loss bracket, we can push ourselves into the higher gem territory. That's our hope. We knew this wasn't going to be a big 6 or 6-win deck, but hoping up to get up to those 1,400 gems. right, what do we got here? This is a much better start, especially considering the starts that we've been having over the past couple of games. So it's got stuff to do and some of our good cards in it. What more can you ask for? And who do we start with here? I think we want to start with the Flesh Taker. Like there's a world where we might be able to sneak in an attack, depending on what opponent plays. Well, if they don't play anything, we can definitely sneak in an attack. We've remembered Can't Stay Away exiles the dudes after the fact. It has been noted. Alright, well this would be a pretty supreme land if we draw it. If we get to make this an attack with like an Odric's Outrider on the board, it's huge. It's huge. Beautiful. Get those bonus points off of a trade. I think we want to put the +1/+1 onto our Morning Patrol. It's going to be the best attacker most of the time. Like a lot of times we don't want to hit with this Odric's Outrider, and then it's pretty tough for blue-white to actually put down 4 power out of a single unit. Nothing really comes to mind where they're able to do that. It does open the Morning Patrol up to Sun Gold barrages, but I don't think that's ultimately the worst thing. He's just gone to Sun Gold barrage our Odric's Outrider, give him the chance. Okay. Lost a counterspell there. All right, let's hope this party squad's enough to get it going. Okay. He hasn't milled anything of note yet. The last one was Flip to Switch Island, and then here it was 2 units. And do we just hit with everything? Like, how bad is it if we trade Organ Hoarder for Odric's Outrider? Like, if he double blocks the Outrider, I think that's okay. The other option we have is we could look to do something as to where we like can't stay awake a Flesh Taker and then sacrifice something that way. I don't like that. I think if he just like double blocks the Outrider, that's a pretty okay turn. He's just going to take 7 damage at the end of the day. I think he's just going to trade for both of our Candleguard Witches. That's interesting. Interesting. Let's put this on the Morning Patrol. That's going to let us hit a Coven next turn. Oh, we get it anyways. Did we lose 2 units that turn? Oh, we did. We lost a Witch and... Okay. We can still hit a Coven next turn. What do we want to get rid of? The devoted Gatekeeper? This can block flyers. Well, I guess they can technically block flyers. This can't block non-flyers. And it's the cheaper of the options between either the Graphkeeper or the Archivist. The Archivist costs 4, so let's get rid of the cheaper one. Hopefully keep them from playing 2 cards in the same turn. We're getting close. We just need that last little bit of reach. We can get there. I think we feel pretty good if their play is just to drop, like, Disturb back the Archive Haunt. So, I mean, if we attack with everything... Ooh, Candle Trap was good. Man, that's brutal. I was really hoping he would only be able to play 1 spell this turn. Alright, we'll bring back the Flesh Taker. That's going to give us a Coven. Now he doesn't have good blocks with his Flyers. Okay. Let's keep spending the mana. We're gonna need to spend a lot over these next couple turns if we want to say like can't stay away and use the Flesh Taker. Okay. That one doesn't do it just yet. He needs to answer our Candlegrove Witch. There's an answer. And a land. Painful, painful. Alright, well he has to block our Flesh Taker. Right, so we can attack with the Flesh Taker, see what happens there, then we can dumpster off the Morning Patrol to get the Flyer back. I'm curious if we're ever going to be able to get wider than him. Like, we have to draw a... we have to draw like a combat trick. I'm looking to get the Apparition on the board. Is it worth trading like the Flesh Taker for the Organ Hoarder? Probably not. We can just wait until his turn to use the Flesh Taker. Well. Also, I think we need to get the unit on board. Okay, Siege Zombie. Siege Zombie can get us there, given enough time. Okay. Throws away the Devious Cover-Up. Interesting. Seems like he's like right on the edge of taking over the board and taking over the game. I'm surprised he would let that go. Right? If we can't attack in for damage, like if he's able to just add a, even add a 2-drop to this board and then have a counterspell back up, it's pretty huge. Maybe we should have... I was thinking about trying to trade for the Organ Hoarder with the Flesh Taker. Like, if we attack with the Flesh Taker, he might come in and block it. But... didn't do it. All right, well, I think I'm ready. We're ready to be all in. We just have to have the things go right with the Siege Zombie. We're way far behind on board now. We don't have a Coven though. We can make a Coven, but then that doesn't do anything. All right, I overlooked that one. I thought we were going to get to attack with both the Candlegrove Witch and the Apparition. My mistake. All right, no removals, please. All right, we can deal with that of sorts. Tap out for something that doesn't matter. We always we always love that play. If he taps out for for another ground unit, say he spends like all of his mana on I don't know what it's called, like the anything. If he spends all of his mana on anything, then we can sacrifice the Siege Zombie to Flesh Taker next turn to get our Coven. Oh my gosh. Oh, fuck me. Oops. He's got 4 mana back. We could technically just go for it this turn as well, but I don't think we're at any risk of dying. Now that we picked up a Trapper, we can tap his Soul Grift Guide. It just feels too dangerous. Can't believe we skipped over the Siege Zombie, though. That was brutal. I was busy talking and stuff. Take a click on it. Can't believe we did that. We could just be lethal without attacking on our next turn if we get that point of damage in. Okay. Doesn't seem like he has the answer, but there's no real excuse for that. We need like a big highlightable thing to put on our Siege Zombie. It says don't skip the turn. You need to put the dice on top of your deck. That's the ways of old of doing it. Untap and don't want to skip your upkeep, so you put the dice on top of your deck. Alright, we remembered this time. Doing it. You can still have a bounce spell or something here, but just want to be attacking with our flyers. Phew, okay, that was that was a trip. That was way closer than that ever needed to be. We're at 1,000. All right, one more win, and I'll feel good about this. This feels like the final battle as far as this deck is concerned. But yeah, that was a good draw. That was a nice little curve there that this deck is able to pull off. Just any 2-drop, any 3-drop into Odric's Outriders, a pretty good deal, especially when your opponent misses a play and is forced to block early. Alrighty, very similar draw here. We're most certainly keeping this one. Opponent mulligan? It's hard to tell with these. No, they got 7 in hand. Kind of same deal as before. I do see a world where we, just try and trade a Siege Zombie off for one of opponent's units. And then if we lose our thing like that, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. The land. Our regression has been stymied, though. I would like to have our bro back. But he is doing doing quite a good job of out-card advantaging us. He's picked up, one card off the Eccentric Farmer, and then he's only played 2 half cards to get this board down. Certainly getting ahead of us. Not being able to attack in these spaces is pretty horrible. Alright, well next turn we can at least start attacking with Morning Patrol and the Odric's Outrider. Ugh. What does he have? How is this thing so big? Jeez. It's insane. We are just super out-card advantaged here. I don't know how we can do this one. He's just got all the tricks behind should he ever need them, and then all of our attacks are just abysmally bad. Yeah, we are just getting super outclassed here. He's got his 7 mana now. We got a good block with Morning Patrol. Oh my gosh, just sacrifice off the unit. Okay. Use our zombie. We're getting there. Look out. Look out, the damage is coming in. Alright, still doesn't feel like we can attack. We're starting to bring that thunder in, though. Just hard shut down by the Eccentric Farmer. Oh, he's bringing it. We just have to have something go right here. I don't feel like there's too much right going on, but I felt like he had a combat trick last turn. I thought we were ready with like defense straight onto the combat trick. He has another one here. I mean, it just doesn't matter. He can just keep slamming damage at us and refilling with big boys. But we should have just put the 3/5 in front of a 3/3, which is taking an extra damage this way. I have the Eccentric Farmer on my brain. Okay, sure. that game was never happening. It just not. This is one of these games to where that like really got me to, value combat tricks more highly in this format, in the sense that you can't just have like your board full of 2/2s get virtual card advantaged out by a single unit. And that's exactly what happened there. Um, if you could have traded out like a land for say we could have traded out any land we drew that game for a combat trick, do I think we would have won that game? Probably not. But you're never winning the game where you just sit on board like that and let them, play half a card 5/5s against our do nothings. So not that bad though. Let's get this deck pulled up and talk about it a little bit more. Okay. So yeah, I think we ended up in a reasonable enough space with that deck. The only thing that really turned it into a problem here is it's a concept we've been trying to work on here a little bit, in that we have kind of like the ideas of 2 separate decks happening here, and to a degree, it's like almost all 3 of the decks are trying to happen, in the sense of we want to be in this like white-black sacrifice aristocrat style deck. That's where we're getting big advantages out of like things using this combination of Flesh Taker, Morbid Opportunist, and Odric's Outrider to get some big advantage out of sacrificing our cards. And so the thing that you're typically looking for as in terms of sacrificable cards would either be Novice Occultistas, since we got this kind of chain going one game where we're sacrificing the occultist to the flesh taker and then bringing it back and doing stuff like that's kind of the core, and then generating the zombies, whether or not it's with the like the discard spell or whatever. You want some of the black zombie generation so you have stuff to sacrifice off. But part of the thing that we ran into here with this deck is we have like all of these siege zombies that that don't play well to this strategy. This is just it's essentially just like a bad 2/2 in this style of deck. It might get to ping in for a damage or two, but this is not a siege zombie deck. This isn't a blue-black deck, and we don't even have the zombie generation to really take advantage of it. And then we have like a bit of the disturb themes in here. Not too much. Like I don't feel like we went overboard on the disturb cards. We just had the Morning Patrols and the Lunarch Veterans. But the big thing we've been talking about over these past few drafts is making sure we draft like the right cards into the right deck. And I think we got a touch too into zombies and then a touch too far away from the sacrifice themes. But we also didn't even see like a whole big ton of the big Aristocrats payoff. We didn't see any of the removal spells. We didn't see any of the Morkut behemoths, and so our only way to sacrifice stuff outside of combat was our singular flesh taker, and so that was a little bit awkward. And so I think we were at kind of like 75% of a deck. But that's also just kind of a function of how this draft went. And so I'm still like really happy with how this went. I mean, as far as pack one here and losing out on things, the only thing we really missed out on at the end of the day was Olivia's Midnight Ambush. As far as staying outside of Esper and trying to draft the colors that are just more open, we aren't missing anything whatsoever here. There's just a Grizzly Ghoul. The green cards are bad. The red cards are bad. I really think this the scab over the Midnight Ambush is the way to go. Even if just like a touch of the blue cards continued to show up, we would have found ourselves in a pretty good space with this. So I like to pick one. Pick two, still pretty happy with. We want to continue on with blue-black. I think the Falcon Abomination really speaks to that concept we're trying to talk to, is where we need to draft the cards that belong in the deck. Curse of Surveillance does fit into blue-black, but I really want to start like nailing the synergies, and I think the Falcon Abomination plays better to the blue-black synergies, plays fantastically with the Bloodstitch Scab being a zombie and generating a zombie. I think this was a fantastic way to take it. But then from this point forward, after this pack here with the easy defense trait, the blue just got hard cut. We didn't see any of the blue really making an appearance throughout here. I think this defense trait was a pretty easy pick. We don't want any of these blue cards. There's nothing to indicate that we shouldn't be in black. It just seems like someone took a rare, someone took an uncommon, and we're being gifted a defense trait. But here in pick 4 is where things start to go a little bit off course. I think Can't Stay Away is strong enough to just take. Right, we're never playing these black cards in the Arrogant Outlaw and the Necrosynthesis. We're probably never playing the blue cards. Like the Drownyard Amalgam is just not. It's not good. Let's be real. There's games where you're going to lose to this, but this is kind of like the Ancient Crocolith of the format in my mind. It's like, yeah, you'll play it and it'll win some games, but the times when it's good don't really outweigh the times where it's bad. And so we're just not really excited to play Drownyard Amalgam. This is where Can't Stay Away is fantastic if we get the white-black deck completely together. Just sacrificing off units and then having the card advantage ways to bring them back is exceptionally good. And it's got a bunch of cats in the picture, so that makes it makes it extra powerful. Still pretty happy with how the draft went up to this point. We're still looking, pretty decent towards blue-black here. This was, kind of a moment to where it's like, well, maybe we should pick into some of these white cards. The Lunarch Veteran plays reasonably well in white-black, but I don't think, we're really locked in just yet. The Siege Zombie here is okay. Yeah, pretty happy with how all of this went. Maybe this one is kind of a maybe. It's tough if we kind of envision that we're going to be a white deck, then I'll probably want the Veteran. If we're going to be a white deck, we might just want the Candle Trap. But I didn't want to fall into the space to where we didn't have anything to sacrifice off. Like these Lunarch Veterans are great as kind of like a fallback sacrifice thing. But as I kind of look at this, I'm curious if we shouldn't have just taken the no way out. Like if we ended up in blue black, we want the zombie generator, and then if we end up in white black, we also kind of want the zombie generator. And so I feel like this was probably a mistake. I really probably shouldn't be taking these Lunarch veterans unless it's like, pick 10 or if we're in Disturb. So I think this one here was probably certainly a mistake. I do think I like the no way out a little bit more than the veteran pick here. But then this one here is pretty easy. I mean, I guess I could technically even see taking a Morning Patrol, but this is just a decent removal spell in the Sun Gold Barrage. I think that was reasonable enough take. Same thing continues on here. The Morning Patrol is a good pack. We aren't aggressive enough to really take advantage of Homestead Courage, so I think that was a reasonable. And then I think everything else went pretty straightforward. I'm curious how this would play out, though, if say, we didn't take the Lunarch Veteran, and so we just ended up with that discard spell. And then here, we don't take Flare Faith, we take Locked in the Cemetery. And so then our deck, we've still got a handful of white cards, but our black offerings are much better. I'm curious if we just kind of like abandoned blue-black a little bit too early, because our deck still looks reasonable as a blue-black deck with one zombie generator or the removal spell and the Locked in the Cemetery, then picking up Larder Zombie here, calling the Laundry Zombie. Yeah, I think our deck would have looked okay. Just a lot of filler out the rest of the way, but there is a late Drown Yard Amalgam just to make sure we have something. And then here in pack 2, this was a very weak blue-black pack. There's nothing for us here, but I know we got past a Morbid Opportunist, and then like pack 3 or pack 4 maybe. I thought there was another. I know we saw another Zombie Lord, another one of those things in here somewhere, and so I'm curious how that would have played out. Here, this would have been an easy Outrider. There's no blue-black cards. As far as blue-black here, we could have picked up Foul Play or Ecstatic Awakener. Both of these would have been completely fine. The blue-black here, not as good. We would have ended up with a second Odric's Outrider, maybe even Evolving Wilds, but somewhere in here I thought we saw, and here was the big Organ Hoarder. I'm just kind of curious if we had never given up on blue-black, how this would have looked. Could have picked up Revenge of the Drowned here. I think we just probably gave up on it too early. The Dissipate's fine. Not playing Arrogant Outlaws. Not missing anything the rest of the way, although there is a late Candlegrove Witch. Novice Occultist, not exciting in that deck, but like, where do we end up with here, though? This is where I'm really curious. Like, the defense rate, and then we get past the blue-black? I don't know. Here's the Bloodstitch Scab. It's close. Like, we don't have a lot of the big payoff cards. Like, we didn't see any Siege Zombies. We would end up with, like, a couple of Siege Zombies. We wouldn't see any of the 5-cost zombie that generates a bunch of zombies. We would have only had the one zombie flyer. So it would have been close. At the end of the day, I think the blue-black may have ended up a little bit better. We did end up with a Digraph Horde. We just never drew it out. We never drew it the entire draft, and so that's why I've weirded out and not seeing it, not thinking we had it. Here we could have had the Nebelgast. That's close. It's tough. Maybe I should have valued the white that we had a little bit lower. Like I think I kind of got hung up on the Can't Stay Away. It just didn't really feel like the build-around cards were here, but I think the way I need to be doing this is like valuing these zombie generators just like a little bit higher. I think I need to have the Mind Rot valued a little bit higher, and then I'll feel a little bit better about how some of these decks are coming together. But yeah, real interesting. I think we should have stayed on course and been blue-black here at the end of the day. But not bad, I was happy at least with the deck, how it came together, where our gems ended up. Ideally, we would have been up in the 4 or the 5 wins, but this deck it had a lot of mediocrity to it. But okay. Well, we got some packs to open on here. Then we'll call it a day with this. Let's see what shows up. We got Light Up the Night. Turns out X spells are still good and limited. Turns out. It's a fact. What is this? I've never even seen this. Gives a creature -5/-5, or tokens get -2/-2. Interesting. I wonder if this has constructed appeal with at least. Well, we've been playing a lot of the red-green ramp deck with Askira's Chariot and Ranger classes, and seeing something like Bloodline Calling killing all of our cats and wolves is kind of scary. It's going to be a best of 3 card though. I have to remember that. And the control magic. Control magic still fantastic and limited as well. So yeah, interesting draft. That was fun. I had a good time with it. Wasn't ultimately super successful, but I think I'm getting like closer and closer and closer to the skills I need to jump into Mythic. I feel kind of good about jumping into Mythic this month, even though this wasn't a superstar powerhouse draft. I'm getting those edges and those skills I need to push our way in. And so yeah, that was fun. It was a good draft. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you learned to sacrifice your own units a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.